Now, you mentioned, of course, around that time when you met him, that was when the comic strip, was it as controversial as, the show is now? Because, again, a lot of people love it. People call it, they go to it for predictions, for jokes and all this. Was the comic view as controversial as the show is?
I don't think it was as controversial, but it was more political. It was definitely more political. I think the show was aimed a little bit more towards pop culture, and so it was more controversial in that way. The show, I mean, the comic strip was probably, it was controversial for what it was in terms of politics and a lot of Aaron's point of, his point of view on politics. But we actually, a lot of people don't know, we actually introduced Uncle Ruckus through the comic strip first. Wow. And we ran a week of comic strips, and I think it was about Uncle Ruckus going to, if I remember correctly, it was him going to the movie theater, and he was just saying some outlandish stuff in the paper, and so it got taken out of a lot of papers. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got dropped, from a lot of people. So many people complained about Uncle Ruckus, so we had to remove him from the comic strip, and we put him in the show. You know what I'm saying? Just wasn't the right place for Uncle Ruckus.
Hey, well, he's definitely a legend now, and I think I was thinking of comedy so much I said comic view earlier and not comic strip. So my apologies. But you knew what I meant. I was definitely meaning comic strip. Now, yeah, some of those controversies. Uncle Ruckus obviously is a big one, but as you mentioned, the comic strip just wasn't for him because on screen everybody loved him. But there's also been some other controversies and a couple of rumors going around. One of those being with Tyler Perry being upset with the way that he was depicted in the Pause episode. Was there any truth to Tyler Perry being upset?
Oh yeah, there was a lot of truth to him being upset.
What was said? Did you actually hear from him, or what? How did you know he was upset?
Because he personally called at least the way the story was told to us from the network. He personally called the network and basically said, "You better not ever, ever air that episode again." And I kind of get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, at that time it was, we were just kind of, I just think, like, this is our first time, a lot of us, making the show, right? And we were doing what we thought was funny, and we weren't really necessarily taking into consideration like how it would affect people personally or emotionally. We were just, you know what I'm saying? We were young and just, taking shots and doing what we felt. But I do think we crossed the line a few times. In Adult Swim, they used to give us so much room. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was very rare they pulled us back. So that's like, because usually, like, you have a network that if you go too far, they'll pull you back and they'll be the responsible parent. Well, Adult Swim was not the responsible parent. It was just like, they were kids like us. They were like, yeah, do it. So I mean, I heard he got really mad, and the episode never aired again on TV. I think it might be on HBO Max now, but I'm not 100% sure.
What do you think he was what was the point that you feel like crossed the line for him to, actually pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I don't want to see this episode aired ever again." What do you think that point was for him?
Well, I don't think I've told too many people this, but like the idea of the episode came from one of our actors that was it was a part of the show, Gary Anthony Williams, you know what I'm saying, who plays Uncle Ruckus. So he had auditioned for a Tyler Perry movie. And so he was telling us about his experience. And so there were certain things that we took from the real story that he gave us and we put in the show. And I think that might have made him feel a way, because it was almost like he had a leak or someone that was like telling us stuff that because it was like the prayer circle, for example, like that was something, that he did. And then we were also, Gary was informed that he might actually, record those prayer circles. And so that's where we got the idea of Granddad, his eyes wandering, and Tyler Perry caught him through him videotaping those prayer circles and realized that he was not, not ready for the inner circle, or at least Gary didn't get the job, by the way.
Right. Yeah, I figure. I figure he probably did. How did you feel at that time, right? Because obviously you were doing something out of, just purity and comedy, just like you said, just being funny. How did you feel to hear that Tyler Perry, called the network to pull that episode?
I mean, at the time, it felt kind of good just because it's like we felt like, I mean, look, man, it's most of the people that we targeted, I feel like are also people that we admired in some way. I know that sounds weird, but it's like, like obviously he's doing, a lot of big things for the community and for the culture. Wasn't necessarily our taste, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we made fun of it, but it's not like, there was like a real beef or issue with it. So when we saw that he was like affected by it, I mean, it did, there's a part of us that was kind of excited about it because we saw that like we did a good enough job communicating these ideas that it actually offended someone. Because look, most of the successful shows that I even watch are polarizing. Like South Park is a very polarizing show. You either love it to death or you hate it. You know what I'm saying? And so if we're polarizing like that, I think that's dope because I know at the other end of that spectrum, we got some diehard fans that will ride with us forever,
Yeah, and I can't tell you how many times, even on this show, where we're talking about something that's happening in today's time, we're like, wait, wasn't that a Boondocks? Wasn't that a Boondocks episode? Wasn't that something we can recall from that? So, yeah, no, you definitely have your fans. Last question for you on the Tyler Perry. So I know you said there's no beef. Have you talked to him since or, after that situation happened, were you all able to, at least get on the phones and say, hey, all is well, all love, and move forward?
No, that never happened. I know there was one time when I was in Atlanta and it was Michael Jai White. I'm friends with Michael Jai White, and he was shooting something with Tyler, and he was like, "Yo, you should come to the set." And then he called me back. He was like, "Actually, you should not come to the set."
Yeah, no, I probably wouldn't recommend it. I would definitely, just wait for that official invitation for sure. But like you said, it's all out of love, and I do hope one day, I don't know, maybe there will be some type of sit down just to say, hey, it's all love. So I'll look out for that picture.